So, Ms. Aisha, can you tell me a little bit how team focus affected your teaching techniques?
So personally, watching Abdul Rahim do many interactive activities with his students, it made me curious as a teacher to learn more about the methods and the activities that he was doing. So after I became curious, I talked to him a bit and he taught me many things that would help the students' self-esteem.
We use technology in education to step out from this very traditional way of teaching. Using technology in active learning shows how time evolved to suit this very smart generation. We use online games and learning vocabulary and grammar lessons. This way, it helps in two factors. One, students shows excitement and they have the chance to repeat the game more than once. And two, it helps teachers to evaluate their progress in learning.
So, Ms. Aisha, I'm going to ask you my second question. How did moving from passive learning to active learning affected the students' behavior inside your classes?
Now, inside my classes, after a teacher moves from passive method of teaching to active method of teaching, I saw that the students themselves were improving their social skills. They were even more encouraged to speak with one another, to interact with one another. They didn't care so much about their self-esteem because they became self-confident and they started discussing with one another, and they actually started to improve their language skills, their communication skills, and their leadership skills because they were working with one another, which is something that me as a teacher, I really was glad to see that.
So, Ms. Tamam, how did team focus affected your teaching methods?
I've always enjoyed really getting to know my students, but when you teach English as a second language, they're quite self-conscious and their self-esteem is quite low. So this project has actually really helped me to decipher how to break this low self-esteem within the students. Specifically, Abdul Rahim and I sharing our experience and the different tools that we use to encourage students to be more active within the classroom really inspired me to go beyond the typical English language activities and incorporate science and math into the English class itself, either by using it as metaphors to explain something or to use it as a way to connect between lessons that are going at the same time with the same students.
Okay, for me, active learning and project-based methods actually changed my whole career. Especially, I'm teaching young first grade and second grade. They are like more involved now in education. They are learning by themselves. Nobody like forcing information or putting them inside their heads. They are learning because they want to learn. And they love English classes now more. They are waiting for them, and this is what made them love me and English more.
So having 40-minute periods and then 30-minute periods during Ramadan, it was quite nerve-wracking to think, how am I going to actually time manage the class in a way that it is not lecture-based, but at the same time we get through material. And having a more active classroom actually proved to take less time to reach the ideas that you need for the lesson and the understanding to the children rather than lecture-based, because they were interacting themselves. Instead of me having to explain the same thing 20 times over, the classroom became a bunch of facilitators together. Rather than one facilitator or one teacher, the students took responsibility for each other and finally for themselves to be a more active leader or play a more active role in their community that is their classroom. So actually, the project has really helped me refocus rather than it being teacher-centered or subject-centered, for it to be student-centered education.